So we'll start talking, but if there's at any point we're not speaking loudly, just say something so that we get our projection out there a bit better. Is this volume okay? Does it seem all right? Okay, great.
I can hear you.
You can hear me. Yeah, well, we're both a little bit deaf, so we might have to repeat things to each other. Okay, so my idea with this conversation, because Reinhold has produced so much work and also has produced work in so many different mediums, that it would be nice actually to do a bit of a chronology of it and see how one work develops into the next. And there's various kind of stories, anecdotes, moments in your journeys that lead on to the next piece. So I think it's nice to start at the beginning, actually, rather than if you were talking maybe to an artist who had always worked in one medium, you can maybe focus in on a few, but this was quite hard because everything seemed to be a chapter worth discussing. So we're going to start at the beginning.
Okay.
I mean, not when you were born, but just a little bit later than that. So I thought we could start with your studies, because they're not in the classic sense in conceptual art or in the broad sense. You started, your first degree was in landscape.
Landscape architecture, yeah.
And then your second one was in ceramics. So
Yep.
Yep. So can we start with landscape architecture? What attracted you to that? And
Oh, that was not an accident, but I had to leave high school at a certain level, and then I started an apprenticeship as a gardener in order to go to the university later to study landscape architecture.
Okay, so through gardening you got to landscape architecture.
Yeah.
So was that, when you said you had to leave, do you mean you were expelled, or it was the end of the school year?
No, it was not the regular end. It has, they told me, it's better you leave.
Okay.
Is it
Okay,
enough?
okay. So you were kind of expelled. Okay. Rock and roll. I always tell people I was expelled. And through the gardening, so was it a happy accident? You went into the gardening and actually thought this was interesting. Did you find it interesting as a trade, or did you find it interesting on, I guess what I want to know is that with the landscape architecture, were you already on an experimental journey that we see later on in your work, or whether at this point you were kind of on I need a job, and we need money, I need to do something structured?
Rather that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned in landscape architecture that made you kind of change to ceramics?
My experience was working in a architecture studio is a good job, but it never was that kind of job I would like to do till the end of my professional life. So after 5 years I quit, and it was just the moment when my former boss asked me whether I would like to be part of his crew.
Like a partner?
A partner, yes.
Yeah.
So it was a bit disappointing for him, but for me it was the right decision.
And to just get an idea, because I keep thinking there must be some correlation between that training and then the work you do later. Were you working with really large spaces, or were you working with people's gardens, or were you working with parks?
No, large space. And it was not really architecture in the sense of, I say, here is a wall, and here is a path, and here's this plant, but my type of work was more big scale planning.
So, but with a kind of social aspect?
Yeah.
So, for example, you were creating a park and understanding where you
not
want the groups
not only
of
the
people.
park, but the background of the park.
Okay. The history, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
And how did that lead into ceramics?
I don't know.
You don't
Still
remember?
don't know. No. During vacations, I have been to England, and I met Lucy Ree. Maybe you know her, one of the
Lucy?
Dame of the British Empire.
Okay.
Lucy Ree. So she's actually she's Austrian, a Jew. She immigrated to London in 41, I guess, and since then she lived in London. So I met her during my ceramics study, and I interviewed her about her work, and in advance I met her work, and I really was fond of it, really liked it. And you can see it with these bowls. These are one of my ceramic works. There is a relation between this and the work of Lucy Ree.
Lucy Ree.
Yeah.
And how do you spell her surname? R-E-E?
It's R-A, no.
Well, maybe somebody's heard of her. I haven't heard of her. Okay.
R-I-E.
R-I-E. Okay, well, let's flick through the first three, because maybe these are the ones that are slightly inspired by Lucy Ree, these three. So, were these very early on in the course, or
for me? Yeah. No, it was I started in '88, and this was '92.
Okay. And how do you get from this work to the series called Ru, which means peace in English? I'm going to flick through the series, and then we're going to go back. So just to give you an idea of the forms that Reinhold is creating. It's very different, at least to someone who doesn't know a huge amount about ceramics. Do you want to go to the last one?
This one, yeah.
Okay. So how do you go from making what looks like bowls to then creating these more abstract shapes?
These bowls were part of a series, and maybe it sounds a bit vain. No. I won a prize, one of the most important prize, ceramic prize in Germany, with these bowls.
Yeah, but it's not,
and I didn't know what to do at the end of this, what to do after that. So I went to the Netherlands and studied in The Hague at the academy there, the Royal Academy there, and started with completely different materials. So I said, no more clay, no more porcelain, just work with other materials and other ideas. So I worked there and came back to the school where I was in Germany, in Kiel, and decided to make the diploma there. And I decided to make a diploma in ceramic and started with this type of work. And this is the beginning of, let's say, a kind of missing words.
No, it's a problem. I wish I spoke German. Does anybody speak German here? No, okay.
Conceptual art.
Yeah, so, conceptual art, okay. Well, so this piece is using, these three are connected, so it's glass for the aquarium, water, ceramics, and latex. And these ones and these ones, am I right, caused quite an offence to certain people when you made them?
Yeah.
That's what it said in the publications.
Especially the rosy red ones, the flesh color ones. No,
these ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you surprised? I mean, were you expecting them to shock people? Was it the period?
No, that was not my intention. No. I wanted to see what happens when I use a machine which is in the ceramic workshop in a certain way, and the result, I was astonished in the first place, and then I saw what to do with it. And then,
because I read that you used so I haven't worked with ceramics, but I heard that you used a clay cutting machine and you're working against the grain using a peg. Can you explain that a bit more?
No, you explained it very well.
It still doesn't know. You still don't know what a peg is. What's a peg?
I don't know. Where did you get this expression?
From your books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is there like a tool that you use as it's on the...
A tool like this. So a bit bigger, but a tool like this, yeah.
Plastic, like a...
No, it was wood.
Okay.
And the machine has an exit of this size, and I put...
Like sausage coming out.
Right, and I put a tool of a certain size inside, and that's why these shapes appear.
Okay, so is it pushing out the clay and the pegs in the middle? Yeah. Okay, and how do you get the latex in?
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Just take either condoms or the
fingers and cut off of a glove.
Yeah.
But you stuff them in at the beginning, like.
No, you can't.
Because how come the shape changes?
You can fire it with a. No, when they were fired.
Yeah.
I put the latex things on.
During the firing or after?
No, after.
I was going to say it would melt. Yeah, okay. So, but why do they change? Like this is the beginning,
yeah,
and this is the end. So they just kind of.
So the latex balls lose air.
Okay.
After a while.
Okay.
So this picture is the one after about 4 weeks.
Okay. And does this body of work come before these ones?
No, that's.
All at the same time.
Okay. At the same time, yes.
And as far as like how I mean, there's an element of like playfulness in all the work, but and the work that we'll see later, but there's also a kind of sinister feel to the work, and it's like a sinister.
Yeah.
Sometimes like a tension or something going on. It could be the lighting, with these. Yeah. Or the fact that like sometimes they have this kind of organic form and they look like maybe they're sagging, so maybe we have like a negative connotation with that. But are you, with this whole body of work, are you expecting the viewer to read that into it, or it's purely in the experimentation that these come to be?
The whole ceramic pieces after the bowls are parts of my diploma exhibition. Mm-hmm. So I displayed them in a certain way. So in water and glass, and in water and glass with the balloons. So my intention was to create images which let people see more images in their head.
Okay.
So,
which
the reaction at the, I don't know what you call it,
the response?
Yeah, the response from the professors who had to give me a grade after that was very different. So my personal professor was
not too happy with them
first.
But was that because they were kind of expecting it's about technique and you were
it was
playing
not,
against that?
It was not the way his students normally worked.
Yeah.
In the first place. Later, he liked that.
Okay. Well, let's move on to this piece, which is also called Rue. So it's part of that. Ooh.
It has been part of the exhibition as well. Yeah.
Okay. So this is this all made of ceramics, or is it just the middle prongs?
This is. Oh, sorry. This darker piece is all ceramic. It's a circle of this diameter, this height, and holes of this size on the outer side, and cones and thrown on a wheel, cones with a very tiny hole on the tip.
Inside.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have somebody in the middle of it. It's for two people, right? Somebody goes in the middle, and then somebody can almost have it's like a peep show thing.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's very uncomfortable to be
inside.
Inside because of the tips.
And again, I'm just curious because there's an aesthetic and a playfulness about kind of working with materials, but there's also this like potential political feeling to it, of this idea of somebody stuck in the middle of that and somebody else being able to observe them. Was that again in the work when you made it, or is that just in the eye of the beholder?
I guess I've never met a person expressing it like you did.
Oh, okay.
But it's good to know that.
Yeah.
It was not in my mind in the first place. But
well, I was just thinking this idea that if you're in the middle and there's almost these spikes going in it, that it's like almost like a torture device. There's something kind of like it could contract around you.
At the same time, it's the possibility to get in contact with the other.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And the shapes, are they supposed to be in any way phallic, or that's just the shape towards like the eye of the beholder is also kind of phallic looking? You didn't have any thoughts about it?
I would like to let it open.
Leave it open, okay. Well, let's move on to another piece of work, which.
But this is connected, so
Okay.
it's
Well
a
then,
good,
great.
yeah.
Well then, tell me.
So inside the
that.
white ring with the cones, and there is a possible connection between the one inside and the one outside.
Okay.
You can get in contact. And if you see this one, it's 5 layers of black foil, and cut the Braille letters, the first and the last 5 letters from a love poem I wrote in 1992, when I was in The Hague. And I cut, so
this is Braille.
Yeah, Braille, yeah. And the upper part of the foils is about my eye height, is it?
Yeah, okay.
Eye height.
So,
So there are parts of the foils you can meet one at the other side of the foils. So
okay. So you've done you've done various works with Braille.
yeah,
but you do it at such a scale, and sometimes
Yeah.
you do it with projection, so you also you get rid of that textured surface.
yeah,
That there's this paradox, really, in the sense that someone who's blind can't read it,
yeah,
and someone who has sight probably doesn't know
yeah.
what those dots mean. Are you playing with that right from the start, that kind of idea of hidden meaning, or a meaning that's almost obliterated in the way you present it, but it has it if you know how to decode it? Or
No blind man would be able to read
Yeah.
that, right?
but the fact that if you were sighted, if you had eyesight, you could learn. Could you learn this? Could you
No,
learn how to
it
read? So it's
would not make
so
sense.
you have actually destroyed meaning, or
Not destroyed,
or
but playing with it in a certain way. So the fact that it is Braille, so it's just for blind people, and my idea of bringing people together by eyesight. So that is what I like
Okay,
about that.
and then you have this poem that you've written, and then you take the first 3, because it's blown up so much, you can't get that much of the Braille.
Right,
So you
yeah.
have the first 3 letters and the last 3 letters.
The first 5 and the
Sorry,
last 5. Yeah,
first
yeah.
5 and last
yeah.
5. Why do it like that? I mean, how
It
does
was too long.
Yeah, but it's functional. But
No.
how does it relate to the poem that
Yeah.
you lose the middle? Is it also
No,
is there something between sight and the content of the poem that's important to lose?
There is the first 5 letters are K-O-M-M-U, Komu, and the last N-D-E-R-N. So together, it's in German a funny word, Kommundern. It's a bit like communicate or wandern, walking. So a bit in between this. A new word made of the first 5 and the last 5 letters of this poem.
I know the title of the piece is that actual word, Kommundern. I can't
Kommundern,
say it
yeah.
very well. Do you also supply the full text with the show, or
No,
nobody
no.
ever gets to
that
see
was
the poem?
very private.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
And is that also part of it, the idea that, I mean, Braille
Yes.
also, but even the reading of Braille is quite private thing to do, because it's kind of only for the person who's feeling it.
Yeah, but you can read very decent texts.
No, but what I mean is
okay.
if I put some text out, everybody could read it at the same time. But if we were all blind, we couldn't read the same Braille at the same time.
Right.
It's only one at a time.
right.
So in a
Yeah,
way, there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
privateness
That's
to that.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There was another Braille piece that we don't have a slide for, but I thought maybe we could talk about it, the projection onto the key.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about that? I think
Yeah.
it's called Liebe, Liebe, Love, Love.
Love, love. Yeah. It was.
And this is 96.
Yeah.
Right.
It was along the river Elbe, close to Hamburg, where big ships are coming along, and they normally see special signs, special pictograms for...
Like a logo or more...
No, this is information for...
Oh, okay.
So like traffic signs.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like the idea of putting Braille signs along the case, so the ship crew could see that, but
it doesn't mean anything to them.
for them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what it was love, love.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wonder, maybe that would be, because we were going to talk about anagrams next, and I feel like there's that sense of, in a way, anagrams have this like hidden meaning if you can work them out, and Braille, the way you're playing with Braille almost has that kind of sense of pulling a distance between the meaning, that it's like slightly far away to get to. But before we do that, I thought we should talk about your alter ego, because it's an anagram of your name.
Yeah.
So Holger B. Nidengren. Am I pronouncing that right? Can you tell us about at what point in your practice your alter ego Holger came about, and why it was necessary? Because I was trying to look at the work and understand if it was yet another playful way of exploring how the audience or the viewer interacts with your work or works in general, and how much was it a serious necessity that you felt restricted as one artist and you needed to bring another personality in?
I guess it was in 1996 when I had a series of little texts and sat there on my computer and started to play with the letters of my name, just to play. And after a while I got this name, Holger B. Nidengren, and I liked the name. Not the first name, Holger is not a very good name, but the second...
Is Holger a real name? In Germany, is Holger a name?
Yeah.
Oh, it actually is a name.
Yeah. But I don't like the first name, but Nidengren is in my eyes, it's a very beautiful name. So I choose this name, and the B was a leftover. So
you just gave it as an initial.
So there is a B point, so we can guess what it means, yes.
Okay. When you were a kid, did you make up names for yourself? Or
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything?
No.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
Did you make up names for other people?
Yeah.
Kind names?
Yeah.
Or, yeah. So do you think that was also where it was coming from? Or it was
Yeah.
just,
And so biographical details are not interesting, or not all are interesting, but as to the Braille, I had two blind grand aunts. And I have very good experience with them, because though they were blind, they were happy people. And they were brilliant in telling me fairy tales, sitting on their lap.
Yeah. Early on when we first met, we had to get into the front seat of a car on the same seat. So I have sat on your lap. We have video footage of it, but we'll show it to you at the end.
Yeah, the after show party, yeah. So I really have a good experience with. Maybe this is what makes me, good experiences makes me
integrate it playfully later on. Yeah. But so with the name, that came from a playfulness, but what came of that? I mean, okay, this is a name that you quite like, that you'd like to have, but why, I mean, couldn't you just have, change your artist name to that, or have it like you did as a child? Why make it an actual, I mean, for example, with this work, Holger created the text, and you created
the drawings, the paintings.
Yeah.
At what point did that become either a necessity or a fun thing to do?
So you see here Reinhold and Holger's work. Yeah. We can discuss about that maybe later.
I'm just trying to think of that point where you go from, oh, this is a great name, to, okay, I'm going to be two people.
Yeah, it's the first two-person show we've had in Berlin in 1999, and I wanted to show their drawings and poems, and that was the perfect moment to go on stage for the first time as two-person.
So because you could say you were working with two mediums, that was just...
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessity, it was just fun in a way. Why not create two identities? I mean, the word fun has a bad rap. I mean, I don't mean it as to dismiss it by saying it's fun, but what I mean, it wasn't like you felt you couldn't make work as one artist.
I could have decided to make poetry or words as Reinhold, yes, I could have done that. But I like the idea of being two persons.
Two people, yeah. Okay, well...
So I'm a Gemini, maybe?
Yeah, I'm Gemini as well.
Oh!
Yeah, and I have a dot in my name as well. And it's made up. We're not so different. Well, I think we should talk about the anagrams. We have anagrams all around us.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that, how you went from Braille to anagrams, or you were already creating anagrams before the Braille?
No, that was one step after.
It was after?
Yeah.
And at what point did you decide, I mean, I know you created one anagram before you created your alter ego, but at what point did you decide that actually anagrams would be part of the work? Was it about what you wanted the viewer to experience?
No, sorry.
Because there's a struggle. I mean, I could fight to try to work out what the real name was.
I don't know the real names of these persons.
Because Holger did it?
No.
Okay.
Also he.
He does
not remember. No.
Okay.
Because these are perfect names, Side or Torch, so how to top that?
Side or Torch, yeah. I might take that as third name.
No, what I like with anagrams is deconstruct a certain structure, what a real word is, and make a new word out of the components. And I also do that with my three-dimensional works once in a while. So I like that.
Do you mean with the textiles?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there's a sense of creating a second meaning or a different way of looking at something, or because in some ways you could say you're destroying the original meaning to construct another one, or you're allowing there to be two. So there's a rebirth or an evolution.
So I prefer the expression deconstruct and a new construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not destroy. Okay. Okay. Well, let's anagrams will come back, I think, but let's go to your some of your experimentation with photography and film.
Yeah.